This is Swarfcast. I'm Noah Graff. I am very honored to be with Const Ivanov, the founder of DigiFab. Welcome to the show, Const.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Great to have you. First, before we go any further, I just want a brief overview of DigiFab, and then we're gonna dig deeper in there.
Absolutely. I always really love to define us as a Shopify for custom manufacturing, because again, it's resonate for both ends of the spectrum, like those who, of course, familiar with the Shopify as the model that opposite to Amazon, and also obviously like for machining, of course, because
for people that are Luddites, define Shopify.
Basically what we do, it is the customer front end for machine shops that allow them quote parts within a seconds. So that's what we do. And of course, on the top of that, we do invoicing, payments, and the customer relationship. So basically helping shops to do better sales.
Now I want the 5-minute bio. How did you are the founder. It's really impressive. You have an accent that appears to be Eastern European. Give me a quick bio. How did you get from there to here?
Yeah, well, I born in USSR in '87, which now feels a long time ago, of course.
Oh, good. You look a lot younger than that. I wouldn't have even realized. I wouldn't have thought that it would have been USSR.
That's what I heard multiple times. So thank you. I think the way that I got into the manufacturing is slightly unusual because, again, I didn't have any relatives or the family members that, work in the machining or manufacturing at all. And originally, I get into the design space, basically, web design, branding, and stuff like that. Basically, when I've been in 10th grade, or maybe 11, basically at the end of the school. So that's where I get into the computers and also like design things. And then run a couple agency businesses, basically helping, different businesses with web design.
And this is all in Russia?
Yes, it was in Russia. Yeah. Originally, yes.
So I'm going to just totally stereotype. I think Russia, awesome at programmers, awesome hackers. It's just the culture there for young people to be good at this. Is that what it's like in Russia, or it was like?
When I started, it was a very good time from the perspective of that a lot of the brands, Western brands, starting to appear, of course, in Moscow, specifically in Russia. And of course, it was boom of the advertising agencies around that and the marketing overall. So it was just a time when...
What times are you talking about? Like mid to late 90s?
It's later than 90s. I think it's like 2000, 2005, something like that timeline. So where we're starting to see a lot of that happening. And it's naturally like you might get the education in one space and then basically work in entirely different space. So that was exactly my path, because I've got my education first in the aviation. Basically,
aviation.
It was aviation. Like, again, it was very unusual at every different level. So it was at aviation first, but I failed.
Were you in the military? Is that why?
No, it's just aviation, basically a civil aviation. That's what I'm talking about. So I think the name of the university was something like civil aviation something. I just can't even recall what was the name, but that was when I started. And again, at the same time, I wasn't really interested in that, and that's why, as a side hustle, basically I starting to do design, a lot of design jobs, and basically we decided, so why not to actually run our first company. And again, our first office has no windows at all, so it was very very interesting experience, to say the least.
Are you talking about like no windows in the building, or no windows on your computer?
No windows in our specific office. So our first office was so cheap to rent because of for the reason we don't have any windows, any natural sunlight, So, but that's how we got into the design first, and then we
And this
started
is in
to.
Moscow.
It was in Moscow. Yeah, yeah. I'm born in Moscow and just live for I don't know how many, like 25 years in Moscow, basically. Yeah. And yeah, and then at some point we starting to getting into the world of the software startups. It's different to advertising, of course. We're starting to looking into the some software sort of startups. Like, for example, at some point of time, we tried to sort of do copycat of the Angel CO. So Angel CO is basically the platform for, well, basically for founders and angel investors. Kind of matchmaking sort of the platform. So we tried to do that. Again, it was complete failure.
Tell me
Uh,
more. What is that? What does that entail?
so basically, it's the platform where you have at least basically two parties. It's investors, VCs, of course, and the startups that raising money, and you're just trying to do some matchmaking to make sure that they connect it and then raise some
Gotcha.
money.
Social networking,
Kind
dating
of.
site for professionals.
Exactly. So basically, dating for VCs and the startup founders. So that's what we try to build. Again.
I'm sorry, I have to just go back to this one thing. Before we get any further,
Mhm.
what is it like to be an entrepreneur in Moscow in the beginning of the 2000s, and then as far as what you know now? And then we'll go further. But I'm just fascinated to know that.
Um. Yeah. I mean,
Is it an
it
easy
was
place to do it?
it wasn't easy, and I think it's still not easy. Because at first, when I started, it was not easy on the sort of the administrative level. So basically, if you want to like start your company, you need to, of course, register the entity and stuff like that. So even at that level, it was crazy, absolutely crazy.
Crazy bureaucracy.
It's crazy bureaucracy. It's complex, and then of course you're starting to getting into the taxes. You're starting to getting into the accounting and stuff like that, and just basically purely on the accounting level, running the business is hard. It's a lot of the barriers. So, and I think we spend a lot of the waste a lot of the time just with like some accounting stuff. Then it's starting to become slightly easier. And again, I think because again, a lot of the Western brands came to the market, and we're starting to see like more everything, more jobs, of course, and stuff like that. And now I didn't visit Moscow for last 7 years almost, so I know it's a lot of the changes, of course, but I just don't know what exactly changed. So I don't know if it's like easier or not. Probably easier because again, the whole country was digitized. But it was wild initially. It definitely was wild.
Well,
So
how corrupt is it? I mean, I know it's super corrupt, and there's really like I just know because that's what people say, so I
mhm.
think I know. But um, it's not good rule of law. Makes it harder to have a business. You know, I'm sure manufacturing is a real jungle in there, but as far as a small software business, was there a lot of messed up stuff you had to deal with just as far as
Not really. Not
not
really.
with
When,
that?
when you're small, like no one cares. No one cares. It's only you only starting to getting into the corruption when you actually achieve something. That's it. But I think it's true for pretty much any country, right? So
Okay. All right. So now you started a few like interesting startups in Russia, didn't really come through. And then how did you get to the United States?
yeah, so I originally started my machine shop in 2014, I guess, or 13, something like that.
In
Still
Russia.
in Moscow, yeah, still in Moscow. So we're starting to do a lot of the basically machining, printing for different kinds of the customers, from engineering companies to like medical to even advertising, like again, broad audience.
Okay.
And again, because of my design background, and also like customer experience kind of background, and software. So yeah, like I always was thinking about how to make it as easy as possible for the customers to like find us and basically order something. So as simple as that, right? And that's why, again, that's why I referring to the Shopify, because Shopify making everything easier from the buyer perspective to buy pretty much anything and to pay for anything. So it was the same idea for our machine shop at first, and that was the sort of the birthplace of DigiFabster initially again. And yeah, at some point of time, I think it was 2016 or 15, we're starting to thinking about like, okay, so yeah, maybe it's even bigger and more interesting opportunity if we, just start to converting the software that we build for our own shop to SaaS product that can be quite useful for other machine shops. And that's why, and that's when we're starting to do a lot of the trade shows, specifically in Europe. So we're starting in Netherlands, in France, in UK, in a few other countries, in Germany too, starting to getting some traction. And at some point of time, we decided, yeah, I mean, Europe, of course, is cool. Having some first customers there is very, very good, of course. But obviously, the biggest pie in America, and that's where I started to think, okay, so maybe
Was this
the
all
only
B2C, like your manufacturing stuff was all for consumer, or was it also business to business?
at very very first days we were actually the alternative to 3D hubs, basically kind of direct to consumer sort of the model, and basically offer those small hubs, small actually guys with the printers, 3D printers in the garage. We just starting to offer some sort of the plugin, so they can put this plugin online anywhere, and they can serve the customers. So that was again very very early version of DigiFabster. Then we realized it's like very small market, fragile market, obviously, because it's small, very small shops. We're starting to getting more into B2B, starting to sell to basically larger customers, larger bureaus, larger service providers, and then eventually machine shop. And yeah, so at some point I realized that yeah, the only way is basically I need to move. I need to move to the US, and that's what happened in 2016.
But how do you get
Yeah.
to the US?
I've got my visa, or one visa. So basically, it's called talent visa. And yeah, and eventually,
Because you had an interesting business, they allowed you in.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So it was basically very strong case with a lot of the publications and everything, and just business model, and of course, exciting space because it was additive manufacturing and manufacturing overall, and it was just right timing to get to get this visa.
And this is 2016.
It was, yeah, it was 2016. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. It's always interesting to know how, you know, people are able to come to this country and to meet people that are able to come because of businesses. And
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's still hard. I mean, it's still hard to probably not even get the visa itself if you have compelling, case, of course. But just this time when you're waiting and like you just have no idea if you can get one or not.
so
So
you consider yourself somewhat lucky, even though you were very
absolutely,
deserving to do it. Not
absolutely,
everybody. Yeah.
yeah. It's absolutely true, and luck plays a big role, maybe even more than 50% in everything. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you got to the United States, and then what was the first thing you did?
I have to hire my first employee. Basically, that's what I did. I started to interview people. I started to basically, of course, looking through my connection to see like if maybe someone can refer to some experts in the field. So I think within probably 4 months after I moved, I did my first hire. Yeah.
And this was just software as a service. You're not like making stuff at this point.
No, 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 no. Yeah, it was complete like move into the software. Yeah. So
Okay. Okay. And all right. So now I just want you to tell me more about the company. Where, where has it gone, and what what are you most excited about right now? Where are you
yeah,
making the most money, and where you see growth?
yeah. I mean, retrospectively, again, I can look into the last 8-10 years, something like that, to see like how the manufacturing is evolved. Because again, initially when we're starting to offer this new concept called instant quoting to the machine shops, it was extremely new, to the level that people just don't know like why exactly they need it at all. So
And
that
this
it
is
was.
sort of like paperless parts in a way.
Yes, yes, yes. We
Okay.
started, I think, maybe at the same time, and I
So
think both
go
of.
over it. How does it actually happen? Like give somebody, you have a manufacturing shop, and then another customer just sends the quote over via email, or is there a portal, or how does I explain how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. It works from the customer perspective is the same way as Xometry. So Xometry would be best example just to explain the workflow. So basically, shop implement our software, put it on a website or internal portal, or just use it completely internally. And customer came, uploaded 3D model, or hundreds of the models. We, in the background, analyze everything from the complexity, geometry, all the design for manufacturing checks, and stuff like that. We drain the price within, I don't know, basically seconds, sometimes maybe 30 seconds or something like that. And then allow customer to place the order. And we
Is this
do.
only for small lots?
It's for everyone. Like we have shops that making from, I don't know, maybe a million, to like shops that, I don't know, do like 50, 60, 80 million. So it's really a good fit for pretty much any either on-demand manufacturer or just machine shop or 3D printing company that serve the customers and just want to serve customers better. Because again, at the end of the day, something that changed within the last 10 years with, for example, companies like Protolabs, like Xometry, and few others, it is the anticipation from the buyer side of the experience that they going to have when they dealing with machine shop. So now they don't ex- don't expecting something like, okay, I will send them some models over email, and within 62 hours I will get the quote back. So it's not competitive at all. So you just can't offer customers something like that, because again, it will be some other competitors that can do that within the minutes or an hours or whatever. So a lot of the things changed from that perspective, and I think the driving forces behind that was the buyers. Of course, the buyers now have more options when they can actually order something. Xometry and Protolabs, of course, did a great job to do that. So
So
now. Mhm.
I need to stop you for a second. Okay, so I'm a shop. I need a part made. I have a print. I submit it to the software. Do I already know what shop it's going to, or are you just kind of like spreading it to a whole bunch of different shops?
No, you always know, because again, so
Okay, you
we.
know where it's going.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Because
of course.
Xometry, they sort of curate where,
Absolutely, they are marketplace. They are marketplace.
right. Whereas you are like, they know what shop they're sending it to. It's just that these shops are already have your service as well. So both shops have to have DigiFab for it to work.
Yeah, yeah. So basically,
Okay. Okay.
again, my I mentioned Shopify because Shopify work in the same fashion that you as a shop need to have customer facing front end, so someone can order from your shop, right, directly. We're talking about directly, versus you have Amazon, and of course you can still offer
Mm.
your services or your products on Amazon. So again, we are on the Shopify side, and yeah, helping machine shops to,
So
yeah, basically.
Shopify, for people who don't know what it is, and I mean, I sort of know what it is, but Shopify is basically an app you use to sell direct, like an
Yeah,
e-commerce app.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. What are you seeing in the market? What type of work is the most um, important, the most lucrative, and uh, and where is stuff growing?
Um, yeah, so I think what's happening now is what actually have to happen. Because again, in the US, obviously, there's some of the things that making very hard to compete in the manufacturing field specifically. So we're talking about very expensive labor. We're talking about actual lack of automation. We talking about inefficiency and things like that. And that's why, at least previously, when let's say some engineering company or maybe new hardware startup want to produce something, in a lot of the cases they reach out to the machine shop, local machine shop, and local machine shop say no, we actually don't want to do that at all. So we just have no incentive to do that. And
Yeah.
they reaching out to any overseas company, of course, going through a lot of the language barrier things, logistics, and other things, lead time issues, and things like that. So this is exactly what's changing now. But because we're talking about manufacturing changing just slowly, but it's noticeable that those changes was accelerated in the last like whatever 5 years, 6 years, to the level where, and again, COVID of course played a big role in that, of course, but also like uh, now you see the shops that saying yes to a lot of the maybe what before would consider as the jobs that they would never accept, because again they just have they okay, we have some work to do. That's one thing. So what's happening basically is, as it looks like, it's redistribution of the jobs that happening, that before it was like top 10 whatever shops in the America that getting pretty much all the jobs that possible from pretty much everyone. And again, of course, they have luxury of saying no to pretty much everyone that they don't like or just don't want bother themselves to like work with.
Hmm.
And now, because I think because of the guys like Zometry and also Protolabs and others, what's we can call like democratizing on manufacturing, that's actually happening. That's actually happening that again those jobs now distributed, and buyers realize it's actually not only those top 10 machine shops that can do the work. It's much larger market. It's a lot of the shops that can do the same thing as those top 10, and they saying yes.
Did the big shops have the resources to do things cheaper than the smaller ones?
Probably they do, but they are in a position where they just not bother themselves to do that, because like why? They already in a comfortable zone where they have, I don't know, like 10 core customers, and basically they have pretty much all the jobs coming from them every year. It's stable.
So they're
It's
going 80-20, and there's
yeah,
no reason to do the
no reason.
20
No reason. Yeah, yeah.
versus a small fish. The crumbs are
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's happening. And that's, I think, is
You're
beautiful
helping
because,
distribute the crumbs.
yeah, 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 I think so. I think so. And yeah, that's what we need because, again, as I mentioned, it's extremely hard to compete with some overseas suppliers in specific fields like, I mean, injection molding. You would probably would never will be able to compete with things like that. But with CNC, with machining, with 3D printing, of course, yes, especially with the lead time, with logistics and everything, and now customer experience, which matter a lot. Yes, you can do it locally, and people starting to realize that, as of course after COVID as well, or during the COVID as well, and now we seeing a boost. Yeah.
Interesting. Where are you seeing 3D printing, additive manufacturing? Is this a growing and growing and growing thing? Is it something you figured would get bigger faster than it is?
Um, I think it's still very small. It's growing, but not to the expectations of the market of people. And overall, I think because a lot of the things was overpromised, like additive manufacturing will do that, will do this and that. Tons of the application, tons of the new machines, and it's overpromising. It was overpromised to the market, to the people, but still, I mean, from the beginning, I never think it is going to be replacement for machining or anything like that. And now it finds a lot of the very nice applications in space, in aerospace, also in automotive, like high performance, like F1 kind of the industries, of course. But it's not, of course, serial production, and it's not supposed to be that. I think it needs to be small batch. It's it's
Well,
it's
it's
set.
not always.
I
Depends.
mean, I mean, if we're talking about like 10,000 of the parts, still small batch to me, and
That's true.
that's what 3D printing can do easily, I guess, and that's enough for tons of applications. So it's really good enough for tons of applications. So yeah, I mean, I think 3D printing found the niche where it's good. It's not only prototyping; yes, a small batch manufacturing as well. It's also like this specialty applications again, like rocket engines, like very complex geometries and things
Yeah.
like that. Uh,
Or
yeah, but it's
biotech type stuff.
biotech, also like dental. Yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I think it's good. It's all good, but it's not growing exponentially. Yeah, it's just very nice add-on to the existing manufacturing, but very much needed add-on. So,
All right. It sounds like you have a pretty holistic view of the market. Um, what do you think manufacturers, particularly machining companies, I guess for us, what are they? What are people messing up on? You go, ugh, if only they would do this, they would be so much more successful.
I mean, as a marketing guy, of course, I always say it's marketing. It's marketing and communication in most of the cases, um, because
It's an
even
art to market a manufacturing company. That's B2B.
yes, yes, but again, that's something that industry is lacking. Of course, also like administration business side, just basic stuff like P&L and cash flow. So that's what run a lot of the companies out of business. It's happening, but again,
Mm-hmm.
like uh, differentiation is something that machine shops have hard time to
Yeah.
build. You know, differentiation, because again, like from the outside viewer, a lot of them like look the same equipment, same materials, same services, and many machine shops, what they do, instead of instead of actually proposing something like the final product, they just basically listing the materials, the machines, and things like that. But again, it doesn't work, because again, all the shops looks for some of the buyers, it looks the same, and of course
Yeah.
buyer would prefer to work with someone that they worked in the past, they have
Sure.
trusted relationships,
Relationships.
and that's it. But
I
again,
know,
if
and
you
all the names are the same. Precision
yeah,
this, precision that,
that's
metal
another thing.
this,
That's
metal
another thing.
that. We have some
Yeah.
nice photographs on the site, and we've been in business since X. And not that that's not important to tell people that, but um, yeah, they don't differentiate themselves. I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's one thing. And the second thing, again, because we're talking about American shops, and yeah, living in America is expensive. It's crazy expensive. So you can't
land,
just
land, you said?
uh, living in America is very
Oh,
expensive.
living. I was gonna say
Yeah,
land in America is a lot better than a lot of
yeah, yeah,
places.
exactly. So yeah,
Living,
yeah, living in America
yeah,
is super expensive. Is in particular state, like I'm in California, fortunately and unfortunately. So obviously super expensive, but that's something that I don't think it's going to change. And as a machine shop, you don't have this luxury to like go and raise money, just starting to hire multiple people and things like that. But what you can do is like thinking about what you can do on the productivity level, how you can be more efficient, uh,
yeah.
with
Lean,
even
lean.
administrative tasks, because those administrative tasks takes a lot of time. Like I talked to one of the shop owners, he said like, I did great, like I running like my machine's almost running like 24/7, but the only missing piece was I just forget to invoice customers. I just didn't have a time to invoice customers, so that's it.
Right,
Things
and
like
so they
that.
need, and so they need to find people like you.
Yeah, I think it's important. Again, you still obviously need to deliver high quality parts, do the Q&A, and do a lot of the other things just to be reliable supplier. Of course, it's true, but on the business level, you now have tons of the tools to do better, to be more efficient, and those tools finally are really not super expensive. So
Yeah.
you don't need to purchase SAP to run your machine shop. So software is democratized too.
So what do you do if you are a shop listening to this and you know that this stuff is true, but you don't have some whiz working for you? Uh, are there consultants you can hire, I guess, or that'll get everything into shape? Is that, I mean, I suppose there are. Is that what you'd suggest people do?
I would say that again, if you're a small shop, um, there's definitely a ways to avoid getting some consultancy at first, because again, we have a lot of the just educational information, in the internet, YouTube, and like all the sources. So it's a lot of the content is free now, which
Yeah,
is
okay. But
good for
say you're
sure.
somebody who hasn't, they haven't replaced themselves,
Mhm.
they haven't streamlined their business to that point, or they just they're a part maker. They're not somebody who wants to go and do this themselves. They
Mhm.
want to delegate this, um, and like, what should that person do? I
Yeah.
mean, from your
Uh,
mind, sure, it makes sense. I'll go to YouTube and figure it out. You're a figure outer.
well, that's the key, I guess, because you always have limited resources, especially in machining world. You have like very limited resources, and I would prefer to do a lot of the things myself. Just maybe not to the level like, okay, I going to learn how to do proper accounting and stuff like that. Yes, I would probably hire someone to do the accounting, just with like normal hourly rate or something like that. But when it comes to the some core stuff related to the business, I'm talking about marketing, I'm talking about messaging, about communication, order acceptance, production management, I would rather invest some time into that and do it myself. Because it's a
Absolutely. I'm talking about like automating things, like finding people like you to hire. Like, that was what I was thinking you were referring to. Just, uh, quote unquote artificial intelligence stuff, or, like quoting systems. Um, but I guess I'm just speaking from the look. I'm in my 40s, and I consider myself somewhat of a you know do it myself to some extent. But here I am. I'm like hiring coaches for and taking courses for a bunch of different things,
Mhm.
and also not wanting to do everything. And I can see
Yeah.
somebody who's my age, older, um, and they're good at making parts and maybe managing people, but what what's a good thing they could do? Like go hire you or
I honestly think that it makes sense to hire some, I don't know, maybe younger guy, maybe someone after university, just fresh grad or something like that, and uh, get this fresh perspective on everything
it sounds
that
like a
matters.
really interesting idea. Like I've thought about that
And
too.
yeah, and it's exciting for them as well. And the beauty of that, you can really help not just your company, but this person too. Because again, if the space itself exciting for this person, and he also like tech savvy, of course, and just like to do stuff like that, he just learning a lot. Within a year, he learned a ton
Or
of
she.
both machining world and also like doing some social stuff or marketing or communication. I think that's I mean, that's what we did initially. And again, it was before COVID. We actually starting to hire application engineers for basically as a support personnel for our company. And we definitely was lucky enough to get a few folks that they were fresh grads just out of the school, just maybe first year, maybe second year, and some of them still with us, and they grew like tremendously on everything. But again, those guys are really talented in the way.
It's hard to find the
in
right. I know it's hard to
it's
find the right
extremely
people.
extremely hard to find. But again, you can see if the person is really as you mentioned, I guess, like to figure out things. So that's the key, right?
Right. So I mean, but it's. I mean, you're giving good advice, but it's a difficult puzzle to solve. You know, you have to. I mean, I've thought about that with our company, but it's just hard to, you know, everybody can talk big stuff, and or other people look at a manufacturing company and I mean, it seems like this is something that you found exciting as a young person, but a lot of these people, I don't know. I mean, it's a puzzle to solve. Let's just pivot a little bit back to your own perspective as an immigrant. You know, there's tons of people talk about immigration in our country, and obviously it's different. Somebody coming from Russia versus somebody from Mexico versus somebody from who knows where. But as somebody not from the United States, what do you feel like you knew that the people in the United States don't know, a perspective you brought and just something you added? Do people are, I mean, I feel like Americans, including me, are clueless. I think maybe I'm slightly less clueless, but as far as how the world sees us, what it's like to be in another country, what business is like in another country, shed some light on that.
I was thinking about that a lot recently. It's again, it was a part of my sort of the reflection, I guess, reflection exercise.
You seem like a pretty reflective person.
Yeah, and something that I honestly was quite surprised, but then probably realized that maybe I shouldn't be super surprised, is that from outsider perspective, so the person that born outside the US, it looks like here you can feel some bubble, being in the bubble, um, informational bubble, maybe quote unquote truth
You don't think
bubble.
you're in a bubble wherever you are, though? I mean, come on. I'm sure Russia felt like a bubble.
Really depends on the person. And for example, why I'm saying that, because from the very young age, I was exposed to the what's called Western culture, specifically through, I mean, even from the language, but specifically through the things like, funny enough, South Park, and stuff like that, and just music, of course, and other things. So I can't say like I knew all of that, of course, all the things that happen in US, but at least I had some understanding. And of course, when I moved here, I realized a lot more of that. But this bubble, and maybe again, it's bubble one thing, but the other thing I think, which is more important, that I think people in the US was in such a comfortable position for many years that that they actually stop to
Be
um,
hungry?
that's the one thing, and it's related to inefficiency in a lot of the cases. When you see like, it's a job that one person can do, but instead it's like you see like 5 person do this one job. Yes, it's a lot of the inefficiency. That's why again, it's a lot of opportunities for the entrepreneurs. But the other thing is really like, what I want to say, it's really like you're being in this comfortable position for 50, 60, 70 years, whatever, when you have everything, access to everything, money as well, of course, and comfortable life, so you just never experience quote unquote poor life, which is not like it's not the same
So you're
for
saying that
every
we don't
single
have
people.
we don't have the hunger.
Um, yes, but at the same time, you're starting to lose this sharp sense of maybe even fearing something unpredictable, like uncertainty. So
Absolutely.
you're in this bubble. So it's not you don't feel uncertainty, and uncertainty it's something that's embodied into immigrants and also into entrepreneurs. Of course, it just embodied into you. So you live through uncertainty 100% of the time.
Because see, the way I feel is that, um, when you come from having, then it's like you don't want to lose. You're whereas if you're an immigrant, if um, it's like shit, I already came. I got the hell out of Russia. Like I got the heck out of this war zone. I've got nothing to lose. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Mhm.
Do you feel like that makes immigrants natural entrepreneurs?
Um, Partially, yes, and it's not always because you run from the war or something like that. Like I didn't run from the war, of course. I
Yeah, but you
moved in
ran
a
away
peaceful
from
time.
Russia. I mean,
Um,
I think Russia and I mean, this again, I'm in a bubble,
mhm.
but
So
like
that's
I'm
the key.
scared. I'd be scared to go to Russia,
So that's the
which I
key.
should be, right?
That's the key. I never run away from that because it's not the place that you want to run away. I mean, again. So there's the big difference between just Moscow and Russia, like huge difference. Like
Yeah.
you would never even think what's the it's a big difference. And again, I'm born in Moscow in a beautiful place, and I had great young ages there, just perfect. So it wasn't for me to run away from anything like that, but for me it was opportunity of just better life, and of course access to like all the entrepreneurial stuff here, which is much more than in my country. And that was my motivation basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really different when you run away from something, really different. And again, I know people that obviously run away from that. So my perspective is different, and yeah,
But
it's
but I wouldn't you say that you appreciate it more than
I appreciate that I had this chance to do that, like
yeah.
just to do that. I just because again, it's luck. Of course, some efforts and persistence in everything, but luck too, always. Luck always involved. So
Yeah. Yeah, which if you familiar with some of my stuff, I'm very into serendipity.
mhm.
Um so and what I like to ask people in every interview is, what's a big point in your life where serendipity played a part in your success? I mean, obviously, one was being able to get to this country, but articulate on it. Well, what was a piece, luck and luck that you kind of made yourself?
Yep, yep. You just like you're just basically improving your chances to get into position to have this luck.
Right. So, what was something? What was an example in your life of that?
I think this is something that I probably were facing from the very young ages, like this sort of the uncertainty that always was a part of my life.
Yeah.
Because again, I didn't choose this like typical path like 9 to 5 job, and also like drop out of college multiple times. So not typical thing. And I think something that helped me a lot to get into place was definitely that I were able to live with this uncertainty and kind of become a friends with uncertainty,
Mm.
which is not easy because again it's ups and downs always. So like
That's
it,
something I'm totally like constantly working on, but
yeah,
I think I'm terrible at it.
but I can see how other people struggling with this uncertainty, and I can see how it quote unquote kills other people, this uncertainty, because again, you can't you can't turn this into your power, and it's very hard. It's very hard to do. But once it's done, you're like, okay, so maybe that's something that helped me to increase my chances to get lucky at some point of time. So it's efforts. Obviously, it's, of course, it's efforts, but it's always through this uncertainty that needs to be your friend. So
Right. So, for instance, if you lost your job or something and you were like, what the heck am I going to do? And then you figured out how to solve that issue. That's like the kind of thing where all of a sudden then you have that power.
basically, you solving and figuring out every single thing that you're facing, right? Every single thing, not on the business side, on the family side, on the immigration side, on everything. So you're becoming this solver, whatever. And
Yeah.
if you like it, not all the people like it actually. If you really like to do that, and you can see it, and you can see this as achievements, and also be grateful about that, and of course reflect on yourself because you have to, and you need to actually, then yeah, it feels better and better over every single year. Every next year, it feels better and better. So
Wow.
that's my reflection on probably,
That
yeah.
that's wonderful. I'm just going to ask you like a really hard question here. Success versus happiness. What do you think of each one? And are the two really intertwined? Or this is something that I'm always trying to figure out. I think it's really up to interpretation what success really means, etc.
Yeah, I think something that help you to be successful is that you can be successful in different fields at the same time. Like you can be successful. Like one thing is a family. The second
Mm-hmm.
thing is your own development as a person, also your health, your body, and also business. Like it's a lot of the places where you can be successful, and the business and the money is not the only one.
Sure.
And once you're starting to get some success in some fields, I don't know, family, for example, so you have kids, it feels like success, of course. I mean, it's really success. Same with the health and stuff like that. You're starting to see like, yeah, it's possible. It's actually possible. And if you already feel successful in those fields, why would you think you can do this thing in other fields? So it just help you a lot. So that's why I started to splitting those success thing into these different fields of the life.
I think that makes total success, total sense. I think it makes total sense.
Yeah.
In order for you to feel satisfied with your success, do you feel like, and as you said, I think different people feel different things mean success. As far as say professionally, do you feel like you need to do something extraordinary that leaves its mark on the world in order to feel successful, or is that not really that important?
Not for me. So I'm not, for good or bad, I don't know. I'm not thinking about I'm actually want to do something extremely big, and that's the only way how I can feel good, how I can feel successful, and how I can finally accept myself like, okay, I'm actually done something in the life.
But it seems like you do think big though. You've got a company that's scaling, but what you're saying then, it sounds like, is that you can feel successful even if you aren't doing something that, but
on a
I don't know.
on a planetary scale, I guess. So I'm not thinking about, okay, so I'm the only way how I can be successful if I build something like another SpaceX or Tesla or whatever. So no, I mean, because obviously everyone know that it's just tons of sacrifices that you do when you building something like that, of that scale, of that size. And do you really need to do that? I think in most of the cases, no. To be happy to be
No,
successful,
but
of course not.
in my
It just
opinion, in my opinion, from observing you, you have created a product that's affecting a lot of people. Like, to me, that's leaving its mark on the world. Does that matter to you, or are you just interested, and it's fine if you say yes, are you just interested in like having a successful company?
The interesting thing that for me, it's hard to think about myself and the company from that perspective. Like we actually marking a big, we're leaving a big mark in a history or something like that. At least now, when I'm within the process, maybe after 10 years, I would, do this another reflection session or something like that. And like, yeah, actually we did that. But when you're
So you're not thinking about that right now. Like if I were you, I'd be going, wow, like think of all the people that are using my thing.
No, sometimes I'm thinking about that. Sometimes I'm thinking about that because again, this is a very self-motivating thing. Like you actually
For
do
sure.
something, creating the product that other use. So it's really something that fulfill me 100%, 100%. But again, I'm not thinking about that as the it's ultimate success thing or something like that. I just enjoying it. I really trying to enjoy that, even though it's as an entrepreneur, it's always a struggle on many levels. But again, it's really hard to enjoy that, but I'm trying. I really trying, not every single day, but I'm trying to enjoy it because
Why is it difficult to enjoy? Because of the stress of being an entrepreneur?
again, it's probably related to some uncertainty that you always have, and you're questioning yourself, like the thing that you're doing now, is it something that will lead you to, like, quote unquote success or something like that? Or maybe it's better to view that as the process that you need to enjoy the moment, enjoy this all the success that you already have. And that's how I constantly battling myself, like and again, I'm trying to be present. It's
That's
sometimes
what I'm trying to do right now. Focus on the process.
focus on the process. And again, I really before I really never think about that, like not like think, but before I never think that
Before this wonderful conversation?
this too, of course. But just previously, like 10 years ago, okay, 5 years ago, I never thought that the process is actually the most beautiful thing, not even the kind of the final destination, but the process itself. And that's why you're trying to learn how to enjoy this process. Not every single day, of course, but enjoy that. Because again, I think what at the end of the day matters is that I'm going to have a lot of the stories to share with my kids, with anyone else. So, and it's a lot already. It's already a success. We have so much stories to share. So,
Good. I think I mean, I fully agree with you. So it sounds like that is something is related to happiness then. Success, enjoying the process is happiness, or what? When you think happiness, what does it make you think of?
yeah, um, I think that when you're doing something that you really like, and you know um, something that you're not forced to do, kind of, because again, this is your invention. This is something that you wasn't forced to do. This is something that just you yourself decided to found the company, running the business, and when you're doing that on your basically your own rules, that's that's happiness for sure. Because again, at the end of the day, you're still in the system. You're still in the system. You still need to follow the rules and stuff like that, but you can control at least something. And that's, to me, is helping to go through struggles. And eventually, and again, not eventually, but happiness to me is something that you basically develop almost every day. And it's not something that you can achieve at some point. I think it's just needs to be something that you live through every day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
I
you
know.
can make this
It's
day, if you can make this day very happy for you, that's it. That's basically that's all you need. Because again, we're just humans. Maybe our last day today, who knows? So that's basically the goal, to be happy. Not even within this day, but maybe within this moment, within this hour, whatever. So that's, if you can have more moments like that, perfect. That's perfect.
wow, you know what's up. That's what I'm trying to do. That you totally are on the same page as me. I'm not saying I'm doing it all the time, but just
You're just doing your best.
yeah. I mean, my issue. So yeah, let's just point this all at me now. Is just I've got a set of goals I look at in the morning every day, and
Mhm.
oh, if I can do these things, then I'm going to be successful, or this will mean that I'm happy. And I think, I mean, you just you have to be able to like live in the now, because I mean, this idea that if you achieve all these different things, then that equals happiness. I've realized that's not the case. It seems like that's the way you believe as well.
Yeah, and I have a story to share. I think in USSR and Russia, it was very common thing, especially among our grandfathers, grandmothers. So they have a sort of the shelf, in the room, and they have a some glasses, some nice glasses, and some other things that they only take and use when they celebrate something.
Mm-hmm.
Only in that cases. That's one thing. And second, which is to me is even better example, is we have this remote control for the TV that always was wrapped in the sort of transparent plastic, I don't know, bag or whatever, because idea was, at some point of time it will be better times than now, and that I just want to everything, like my glasses, my remote control, to just stay as it is, like during the time when we actually going to this happy place, when everything we can rub out like this, remote, and use it fully, or use the glasses for some celebration. So I never like this idea. I hate this idea, to basically uh not doing something right now, but instead thinking about, okay, so maybe in the future, in the better times, I will try that, with the travels, with the food, with everything, just with everything. And that's probably something that embodied into me, to the way that I just want to do everything now. I don't want to basically leave it for better times, because I don't think it will be better time than now. So, and that's probably my happy place. So just now.
Oh, that's very smart. Very smart. Um, well, this has been great. Anything else you'd like to say to the people of the world before we finish up? And then just tell us where they can find you. Find you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it's digifabster.com. So that's the product for machine shops, quoting platform for machine shops that we do. We have a tons of happy customers. I mean, probably half of them based in US, which is I'm grateful for, of course. And yeah, of course, the other thing that I starting to at least experimenting with the podcast. So I call it machinist beyond the craft. So that's
Machinist
some
Beyond the Craft. Cool.
yeah.
We'll have to
Because
talk.
again, the idea is to talk about not just engineering stuff, but also business stuff, because it's really important for success of the shops. So yeah,
Well, thank you. This was lots of fun.
thank you so much. Now, thank you.